This is Intimacy Architecture Radio with your host, Christy Ann Bella. Brought to you by Intimacy Architecture, www.intimacyarchitect.com. Woo woo! Hello everyone, welcome to Sexual Inclusion Network. I am Christy Ann Bella, and today we have a special guest, Sam Veach. We are going to talk to the Witch of the Woods about how twin flames and the tarot play into our relationships. My grandfather, I never got to meet him. He passed away before I was born, but as I've been told, he used to read playing cards and stopped because the things that he was seeing was stuff that he was judging as bad. What are your thoughts on that? Do you believe like there is good or bad, or it just is the story?
I mean, I guess it's all relative, isn't it? You know, I mean, when you're looking at someone's stuff, I mean, like I have run into people, even close friends, who are like, no, I don't want a reading because, and they always say the same thing, I don't want to know when I'm going to die. And it's like, that's not really how it works.
No.
But I can appreciate that
right.
You would that you are more comfortable with the unknown than perhaps like a likelihood of this is where you're heading, and maybe you don't think that's favorable.
Right.
But it's all in how you apply context, you know? Because if I read for someone and say like, okay, well, I see, you know, if you keep going down this path, you know, you're going to wind up having a major illness. Yeah. Well, yeah, that could be very stressful, and depending on how you decide to interact with that information and that energy, you know, maybe you're going to be proactive and, you know, change your diet or change your lifestyle or something like that to, you know, circumvent that. Or if you kind of get caught up in like the stress of it or the anxiety of it and don't have the tools to kind of combat that, well then we may get stuck further down that road, because that's the thing, is that nothing is written in stone. Yes. Any psychic or intuitive will tell you that. Nothing is written in stone. People who sit on the other side of the table want to think like your word is gospel, and that's an awful lot of responsibility put on anybody. Yeah. But I think any reader worth their salt will say, you know, you can walk out of this room right now and, you know, just decide that what I said is wrong and change your whole path.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely up to the receiver. I mean, I think of any information, you know, it's our lens that filters, you know, what we're interpreting, what we're going to take that information and then where we're going to go with it. So yeah, it's such an interesting thing, like, because I was very turned off to my intuition because I was getting these visions of things that at the moment I was like, oh man, I don't want to know that, you know, because I thought like that's fucked up, like, but I realize now like there really isn't, at least for me, my perspective is like there isn't anything inherently bad or fucked up. It's just like this is the unfolding, and the unfolding could go a lot of ways, you know. It's really that butterfly effect, like one little pebble gets moved and you swoosh, you know, a whole nother dimension thing unfolds and an entirely different outlook is before you. So it just really is like, this is just kind of a glimpse. I feel like, you know, you're getting like, all right, here's one picture, here's one way, you know, the movie could end, but you could keep editing that movie and it could totally change. So it's not the end all be all.
Choose your own adventure.
Absolutely. Oh my God, that's such a great way of looking at it. Yes, I love that. I love that. So let's jump in to this idea of twin flames, which seems so perfect because we're in the midst of Gemini right now. And how does twin flames show up for you? How would you explain that? Because I feel like it's something that's thrown around a lot, especially in like the new agey world. And everyone obviously has their own viewpoint, but I would love to hear your take on how that has shown up in your life and what sparked twin flames for you.
Well, the reason I only ever even became aware of the term twin flame was because years ago I got a reading from someone who I trusted and
Mm-hmm.
had been correct about stuff in the past, and out of nowhere she goes, "You're gonna be a twin flame." I'm like, I don't even know what that is.
Right.
And not to mention, like, I'm married, so what are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And so I got into, like, I looked into it, and what I understood initially was like, okay, well, this sounds kind of like a leveled up soulmate, if
Right.
you will. But
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of brushed it off. And
Mm-hmm.
then, lo and behold, a few months later, I met the person that I thought she was talking about, and I was floored. And it really freaked me out at first, to be perfectly honest, because ultimately what I came to understand about twin flames, because ultimately I did engage in a relationship with this person for several years, and in the interim did an awful lot of reading, an awful lot of research, met up with other people who were in similar situations and relationships, and you know, and there is a lot of information on there, and obviously there's no like real physical tangible way to prove any of it, but you know, I can speak from my experience, and ultimately it, you know, like I said, so I engaged in a relationship with a man for several years, and what I came to learn about it was that it's people who haven't experienced it yet think that they want it. Like, they want to find their twin flame, like people talk about finding their soulmate. Like, the ultimate, you know, romantic union, love, and balance, you know, and like this perfect yin and yang, that kind of thing. And I do believe that that is what a soulmate is. I believe that that is part of what a twin flame is, but a twin flame brings with it a whole slew of other junk that is not for the faint of heart.
Yes.
And when I say that, what I'm speaking to is basically this person is coming into your life because it's posited that this is your divine other. It's not that you are not a whole soul unto yourself. You don't need another soul to be complete.
Right.
But if you go on the premise that, you know, you have an oversoul, like you're both kind of from the same oversoul. That was like split in two. There's a little flame in each of you. That's hence the twin flame. But you show up in each other's lives at that time when you're both ready and aligned to trigger the ever-loving shit.
That's putting it nicely.
Yeah. You are put into each other's lives to experience this absolute soul-shaking depth of love that you've probably never experienced before and maybe never thought you could. And things just click into place and they feel so perfect and so divinely aligned. But at the same time, they are going to present a mirror to you. They reflect back to you all of the stuff that you need to work on.
Right.
And that is a very mild way of putting it. So these relationships tend to be more about your personal growth than ultimately coming together. And that's not to say that people don't come together or that that can't be the ultimate outcome, but it's not necessarily the ultimate outcome, which is very difficult for people in these situations to hear, because I was also there at one point and did not want to hear that.
Right. I think that's kind of like the catch of it, is you probably wouldn't stick around to do the growth that you need to if you didn't love this person so deeply. But the likelihood is once you're done doing the work, you're supposed to, you know, move that, you know, light, flame, whatever, and go in your respective directions. But because you have this deep, and now that even more so because you've done all this like gut-wrenching work, you feel like super bonded, and you think like, oh my God, how can I like live without you? But that's usually like, it's really one of those kind of like relationships that has an expiration date. It's like, all right, you're supposed to come here, you know, here's the contract, and upon completion of said work, like, you know, it's done. That's it. And yeah, my experience with that has been like it's like ripping things apart. You know, that I can't imagine would have gone any other way, but yeah, the untangling of that, you know, is definitely a rough one.
Fridays, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Like, share, and subscribe. Intimacy Architecture. Build a life you love.